Hi, sweeties. How are you doing? Welcome to Naya Sim. Thank you so much for the support. Hope you all are doing great. At this point in time, I feel like there is something wrong with some people, especially the Mexican community. Something must really be wrong. All right. Because the fact that they go around attacking Black people at this point in time is delusional. Because if you are okay, you won't be doing something like this. And tell me that these are the people that want you to put your precious life online, your body, Black bodies online, just to rescue them when they do not want to be rescued. Tell me how someone is not bothered about what is going on in their community, but Black people is the only thing that they want to concentrate on. How do they want to speak on what is going on in their community while majority of them voted for this administration? You need to see a Black girl's comment section, how they all came for her. Why? I am sure majority of you may have seen the video of a Latino man who went for like a podcast station to say what he said. Now, I saw a comment somebody dropped in my comments some days ago that talking about these people might bring race war. What do you mean? What do you mean? It is okay for them to come for my people, but when we speak generally what they are doing, it is no longer okay. Let's get into this video.
Do you feel like you could say the N-word?
I feel like I can say it, but not because of that, and I'm gonna tell you why. What the fuck are you gonna do about it, you know? And then second of all, I grew up loving these motherfuckers.
He is a Trump supporting clown. And that explains it all. When I said Latino males are the most obedient, most submissive to white supremacy, he is the perfect example. The Mexican OT will steal everything from the Black community except for courage. He will fight the Black community to say the N-word, but he doesn't have the balls to fight to protect his own community. If he wanted to appropriate something from Black people, it should have been protecting his Latino community. He's an unoriginal leech. He steals Black music. He steals African American vernacular. He steals Black style. He steals Black culture. He cosplays a tough Black man. But then he'll turn around and disrespect the Black community he stole everything from. The Black community who is responsible for the freedoms he enjoys in this country, but he'll happily grab his ankles for his white oppressors who are currently kidnapping his people off the streets and shipping them off to El Salvador.
But what's your take on the things that's been going on as of recently? I've been seeing all that ICE stuff. I'm like, come on. What's happening? So what's your take?
I think people just need to pray.
Period.
I think people need to pray and handle their business.
The response of someone who cosplays a tough guy is to pray, which translates to he doesn't give a fuck about his people being brutalized because he is nothing more than a coward who hijacked the identity of what he thinks is a Black man in order to gain fame. And y'all let him. And shame on Angela Yee and everybody there who did not check him.
Okay, first of all, if your goal was to get up under my skin, mission accomplished. And I'm not going to go back and forth with you. This is easy work. You put so much in the comment that I feel like I need to let it scroll so that people can see exactly why I'm about to say what I'm about to say. What you're saying makes no sense, but you're actually making my point for me, and you don't even realize. But the first things first, we do not refer to ourselves as Blacks, so I need you to do away with that terminology. If you were around enough Black people, you would know that. Secondly, stop with the bullshit about Hispanics have always supported Black people. That's not true. It's not true at all. It's not true from the past election and beyond that. And you know how I know that? Because I've lived it. And I've lived majority of my life in Texas, but I've lived in Colorado and I've lived in Los Angeles. I have a big enough sample of size to see how y'all move. Y'all are trying to project all of this from the past election on Cubans, but that's not true. We have Puerto Ricans, you have people with Mexican descent, you have people from all over, the entire Latino community punching down on Black people. They want so desperately to be accepted by white America that they adopt the anti-black rhetoric because they fall right into it. Because that feels like that elevates them. They feel like that makes them aligned until they realize it doesn't. If you got 10 black people, 8 of them are going to tell you of their experiences of where they've experienced Latinos who do not act like they are minorities and do not treat black people like they're their brothers, like they're a people of color. They act more like they're aligned with not just white passing Latinos, but they basically have adopted the culture of anti-blackness, which will make sense why they would want to vote for a black woman, even though it would benefit them because the white man running against the black woman told you in his first term he didn't want Latinos here legally or not. He wasn't trying to make it easier for people to get legal citizenship in America. He wasn't trying to extend work permits and keep people here longer than they needed to be. He was telling you to your face. And you have second and third generation American-born Latinos with Mexican descent, whatever, being anti-immigration, telling them they need to go back, that they didn't come here legally, even though their grandparents came here, probably by the same means, with the same aspirations to have a better life, just like the one they have today. This is the part where you think you made a point, but you didn't. But it'll bring it full circle. You never listened to us. You're not listening to me now. You're trying to tell me what my reality is. That's a problem. You have been the beneficiaries of our struggle, and you've allowed yourself to hide in plain sight. Your community is split 50-50 in supporting a racist who is not only anti-immigrant, but anti-Latino, anti-people of color, anti-diversity, and people who are fighting for your own needs, your interests, your opportunity. 50% is not a flex. It's not a good thing. When would you ever want 50%? If your child went to school, if 50% of the teachers were pedophiles, is that a good thing? If 50% of the cops are good, is that a good thing? If you have a loved one in the hospital, if 50% of the nurses and doctors are competent, is that a good thing? So what do you think 50% of your community being anti-immigrant? How does that even make sense to you? And this is where it all comes full circle. You're saying that this all came about because of cats and dogs. So that would mean you've been ignoring black people's lives being taken unjustly. That would mean you've been ignoring black people not getting due process. That would mean that you're ignoring how black people have been having their constitutional rights violated all this time. That would mean, as much as you want to say in your comment section that you've supported black lives, that the election came down to dogs and cats. I love my dogs. But I would never fucking say my dog's life is better than a black person's life. I would never ignore the needs of a black person because of a dog or a cat. You're making my fucking point. No, black lives don't matter to you. Because if you pivot and made a voting choice in the last election, which means you ignored everything that you know that's been happening to black people, and now the shit that's happening to you that's been happening to black people your whole fucking life, now you want to bring it to the forefront. Man, get out of my face.
This is a tough pill.
You're getting this all wrong, man. You're getting it all wrong. My black grandfather, because that's what he passed as black. I can tell you that right now, in a second. When he came across that border, he wasn't allowed in the restaurants. Shit, I wouldn't even be here if white America had won before. So you think there was no struggle in Texas? You think Hispanic people, when you said whites only, weren't suffering? You didn't think that they did anything at all in this country for the fight for equality? You're the only one? You're the best at it, maybe? It reminds me of somebody who talks like that. Nah, man, you got this wrong, man. You targeting the wrong people. Why aren't we talking about Tamir Rice? Tamir Rice should have never died down. We should be in the streets right now rioting. You're wrong, man. You're just wrong. You're just misplaced. Nobody punched down. They weren't demeaning black people in the last 2 elections, demeaning Hispanic people. I mean, he made a comment every now and then, but for the most part, he was like, I'm black's best friend. I do the best for them. I'm all for them. But these Hispanic people, they're the ones. Now you want to tell me, you know, that there's all kinds of things, due process and everything else going on? Yeah, but who are they attacking? They're not looking for you. They're looking for the Garcias, the Rodriguez. That's where they're attacking due process. Does it hurt the black community? Yeah, of course it does. I know that. You're just wrong, man. And you're not gonna like it. You're gonna come up, you know, you're one of these fancy spinsters that produce all this media content that has all these arguments, and you're ready to attack it and put somebody in a category and throw it all in there and be right. Look, my content, I'm making money. I'm doing it. And I love your content, man. But this one ain't right.
Well, you definitely hit every square on the bingo card in this one. Everything from I have a black family member to you guys didn't do it alone to I sounding like Donald Trump. And what's most fascinating is you asked me to do the very thing your community has failed to do, which is listen. Listen to what black people have been through and are going through. Had you done that, you would not be in the position that you are today. Now, in order for us to move forward in this conversation, which is why we haven't, is because there's a refusal of acknowledgement of that fact. And as I've stated in several videos, it has been our effort, our suffering, our unwillingness to accept things as they are, which is why so many other marginalized communities have the life they have today. Your clapback to that is to say, what, you think you did it alone? You think y'all were the best? First of all, we were the best. We absolutely were the best. From chains to today, yeah, we were the best. And that was our refusal of acceptance to societal norms. I have family in Atlanta, Nashville, Georgia, Louisiana, Texas. If I wanted to right now, I could do a group text and ask them to send me a photo of a picture in their living room right now of a civil rights photo. Feel free to tag me and any family member that you have of a Latino family member who has a Latino civil rights leader marching during the civil rights movement. Feel free to show me how they had that celebrated in their living room, how they continue to preach, how significant that was for them to have the rights they have today. And this is the part that y'all have ignored, both historically that you benefited from and the continued fight today. Your myopia has led you to look at what's happening to the Latino community today in a vacuum, ignoring everything that's happening to black people. Don't bring up Tamir Rice to me, talking about we should be marching on Tamir Rice. We marched on Tamir Rice. We protested for him. We fought for him. But you weren't listening when we were telling you about Trayvon Martin. You weren't listening. Ahmaud Arbery. You guys weren't worried about Tamir Rice. According to you, your community, Latinos, were more concerned about Lassie, Garfield, Delgado. They believed the lies, but they ignored the truth because we were telling them the truth. We were telling them what was happening to us. But the reason why you think we're next is because you weren't paying attention before you. Oh yeah, they're coming for the Garcias and the Rodriguezes now. But if the Garcias and Rodriguez had cared about what's happening to the Williams and the Johnsons, they wouldn't be in this situation right now, would they? Now you are shocked that he's letting these things happen to you. An old saying down south, they ain't gonna believe you until they touch the stove for themselves. And the reason why you weren't paying attention before is because the things that were happening to us wasn't happening to you. That's why you don't have videos of Latinos handcuffed face down in the street having the life squeezed out of them. You don't have endless videos of unarmed Latinos running, being shot in the back. You don't have continuous videos of Latinos calling for help, for wellness checks, and having their lives taken. You don't have continuous stories, still in 2025, of Latinos being found hanging in trees and mischaracterized as suicides. And when we tell you these things are happening to us, we are warning you that it could be you. When you're ready to have the real conversation, you're going to have to tell me why your community continues, despite what you profess, that you're aligned with black people and you see yourselves coming together and should be fighting against racism, you're going to have to be willing to explain why your community continuously, willingly checks white when they're applying for jobs and looking for housing on applications when they know they are not white. When you get to that answer, you're going to get to the root cause of why you voted like you did. What say you? What? Cat got your tongue?
That motherfucker Mexican OT should have got packed out real quick when he said that shit. Real quick. This motherfucker basically said, who's gonna stop me? And nobody did shit. This is why these motherfuckers are disrespectful as fuck. Because we let them talk to us in our presence like that and we don't do shit about it. Y'all should have packed him out the moment he said, who's gonna do something about it? Instant. I should have just heard the pause. I should have heard them skibbity paps. I should have heard this as soon as he said that. Now, I know, it was a bunch of women in the room, so maybe that was a part of it. And, obviously they're on camera and the legality of things. I understand that. But this is the type of behavior that needs to be handled instantly. At the very least, y'all could have used your mouths and said something to correct his ass. You could have used your mouths to say something to correct his ass, because I swear to God, ain't no motherfucking way I will be sitting in the presence of no fucking non-black, Latino, Mexican man looking at me, telling me, what am I gonna do about this motherfucker using the N-word? I'm gonna show you what the fuck I'm about to do. Y'all are wild as fuck for letting him talk like that in your face. When I came on here and said, black people, stay out of them streets, don't join them ICE protests, I had so many Latinos in my comments, non-black Latinos, in my comments talking about some black and brown unity. Why aren't you guys out there fighting with us? We've always stuck together, black and brown unity. And when I told those motherfuckers that they need to work on the anti-blackness in their community, I was gaslit. I was told that I was the problem. I was being divisive. Then I made this post saying that Latinos, Mexicans specifically, should not be using the N-word. Then I got all these comments from Latinos, non-black Latinos, and Mexicans specifically, telling me that they have a right to use the N-word, and what the hell are us black people gonna do about it? These are the comments that the algorithm caught. Take your time, scroll through them. I want you to see how our black and brown unity looks in real time. I want you to see what that black and brown unity looks like. I have so many comments like this on my post. But you know what I don't have? I don't have a bunch of non-black Latinos in the comments defending black people against nasty comments like this. The comments like this, no replies here. No reply, one reply here. I bet you it's probably a black person responding to them. No replies, one reply here. I got motherfuckers telling me that I'm talking real big from behind the camera because I'm telling non-black people not to use the N-word. Yeah, talking real big. Where are all the Latinos who swore up and down about black and brown unity and how there's no anti-blackness in their community and how we need to stick together? Where are y'all in my comments checking your fucking primos y primas? Where are you? Where are the Mexicans who had the nerve to sit in my face when I said we're not going out there to protest, talking about it's not us, it's the Cubans, it's the Dominicans, it's everybody but the Mexicans, but that whole entire fucking post is Mexicans in the comments telling black people how they're gonna use the N-word and we can't do shit about it. Where are all of y'all united black and brown unity folks who were gaslighting me about the anti-blackness when I said we need to stay off the streets as black people? Where are y'all? How come you're not in those comments checking those motherfuckers? You want us to show up for you and you can't even intervene and stop your racist friends and family members from being disrespectful in a comment section. The only people responding to those people and checking them is black people. What a shock. No Latinos in those comments. And then you have a tiny little handful of Latinos that are jumping up to say, That's not us. We're not like that. We're different. But you're not in any of those comments of the people who aren't different. You're not in any of those comments checking them. But yet I'm supposed to trust y'all enough to put my body on the line with the fucking terrorist ass police for your cause. Throw the solidarity out the window.
The biggest thing I want to understand from non-Black ethnic communities is why certain portions and people feel like they need to out Black people when they are not Black. We've seen it with Awkward Fina. We've seen it with Mexican OT. We've seen it with so many people. Oh, I grew up in a Black neighborhood. I grew up with Black people. That's why I sound like this. That's why I should be able to say the N-word. This is my Mexican residency card. I am a resident of Mexico, the country, not Texas, not California, not Arizona. I am a resident, a legal resident of Mexico. My son started school in Mexico when he was 3 years old. We are a multilingual household. We are Black American. I know people from Latin America who have never been to their home country, but that doesn't make me more Mexican than them. My son will never use a slur that refers to Mexican people because he's grew up with Mexican people, because he speaks the language, because he's had a piñata at all of his birthday parties. In my 20s, I went to Puerto Rico for the first time with a bunch of friends, and one of the friends brought her cousin whose father was Puerto Rican. We went to her family's house to eat, and I was speaking to the family, and she didn't speak any Spanish. At no point did I think to tell her, oh, I'm more Boricua than you, girl. Because that shit is weird and lame. And both sides gotta stop.
That Mexican OT conversation, I just watched a little bit of that interview. First of all, Cleo Trapper usually don't let nobody play in her face. I was kind of gagged at how silent my sister was, but that being said, I want to talk about this whole idea that all of these Mexicans is walking around saying nigga all the time. Now, the Afro indigenous girls, the Afro Latina girls, the Puerto Rican girls, all that, let's sit that over there. I'm talking about the essays. I'm talking about the girls who don't identify with niggas at all whatsoever outside of saying the word nigga. What gags me is when I was locked up for almost 10 years. And I was deeply entrenched in the essay culture. Listen, I've slightly told the story before. I was dating the head of MS-13 in LLC, Angel. It was a time. That being said, we were doing deals. People would be locked up. The Mexicans would be locked up with the Black folks for 10, 20 years. And there was never a moment where the relationship was so entrenched that the Mexicans felt comfortable saying nigga in the institution. It never happened. So you can't tell me that your formative years, hold on, wait, let me see how old this nigga is. First of all, that's a hard 26. He's 26 years old. You talking about where you grew up. Let's say for 6 years you've been out here doing the things. I doubt you was in the 10, 15 years of community, maybe. But why don't I see you with no Black folks? You were reared as such to where like this is, and ain't nobody gonna tell me nothing. You wasn't around the right Black people, and they always do that. Everybody does that. Motherfuckers be calling people trannies and shit. They be doing that shit in front of the wrong girls. Yeah, when y'all be calling girls punks and all that stuff, when it's a read, y'all be doing it in front of the wrong girls. That type of shit was out of line because I don't believe, actually I do believe, I was about to say I don't believe he would be on a podcast with Black men and say that. I do believe, because in closing I want to name that it's historically Black men who are giving these motherfuckers those passes. The same Black men that'll let that white mama of their biracial children say that. And soon as she get mad at you, she calling you a bag of niggas. Because that shit is cute. Yeah. But yeah, I ain't never seen that. I have never experienced a level of solidarity where a person who is Mexican, does not identify as Black, African American, none of that. We're not talking about the Khalils of the world, honey. I'm talking about that Mexican OT where it's like, yo, I've been so down, I'm so in community, I walk around saying nigga. And somebody in the comments was like, Paul Wall would say it. Paul Wall has never said that. Eminem has never said no shit like that in music. I don't know what they do behind the scenes. But yeah, but the shit you saying don't make no sense. And somebody need to put their steel-toe boot up your ass.
Imagine having a platform and utilizing your platform to basically appropriate someone else's culture while your actual culture is being subjected to mass deportation without due process. Okay? Like, imagine being a Mexican, and right now that there are Mexicans in Camp Lebanon that is literally in a container, and they don't have food, water, medical care, and they literally in 100-degree weather. And instead of you being on your platform advocating and utilizing your voice to potentially get them up here, mind you, after a judge has already suggested that it would be unconstitutional to try to deport them to South Sudan, where they're not even from, but instead of bringing them back to the U.S., they decide to stop at Camp Lebanon, where it wasn't even set up to house people. It's a place where our military base is in Africa, and instead of them bringing them back here to America, they decided to put them in a container where they're literally dying as we speak. Mexicans, okay? Now, don't get me wrong, there's a few others, but those same Mexicans weren't being deported to Mexico. They were being deported to South Sudan. Now they're rotting in Camp Lebanon in Africa. And you, as an artist, can come onto this platform, first and foremost, as an artist appropriating another culture, because Mexicans have their own culture. No, y'all have your own music. No, y'all don't have your own languages and slurs that are still being used to this day. Quote unquote wetback, quote unquote the S word. Don't you guys have that? But y'all not utilizing that. You know how many Mexicans I know? Do you think I'm going to walk around calling them the S word or wetbacks just solely because of the fact that I know them? Like, do you hear how unlogical that sounds? But meanwhile, you appropriating our culture so much that you literally think that you are part of the culture. So that's why you feel such a way about using the N-word. And the real reason why we're saying that for you not to use the N-word, because us setting boundaries, instead of you saying, nah, I respect it, instead of you doing that, instead you double down on it and say, what about it? Y'all Mexicans should be mad at him for utilizing his platform, because I guarantee you many of y'all didn't even know about the fact that they stand over there in containers. You didn't know that. But if it wasn't for my voice, if it wasn't for me bringing it up, you would have never known it. Because your artists are not doing anything about what y'all going through. Instead, they on here begging for acceptance, begging for an altercation. And this is the reason why many of us are like, you know what, we're going to sit it out, because people like Mexican OT with a large platform is letting it be very much known that y'all are racist. Yes. That's the reason why many of us do not want to utilize our voice. But y'all should be mad at him. First and foremost, you're getting old. So don't think that in a couple of years that you're going to have any kind of relevance. You're going to be washed up. When all of this is past, when all this is said and done, because it will pass, you're going to be a washed up Mexican wannabe rapper that's going to end up at some point losing this money if you didn't invest it well. And if you think that you're going to be having some clout in your area, wherever you stay at, you're going to find yourself either dead or in jail, because you're going to see that not even your own Mexicans is going to F with you the long way when you start losing that bread. Okay? You're probably going to need a few N-words to look out for your ass. Talk about you got 21 bullets and you ready to unload this clip. Nigga, that only got big like that because you literally was trying to sound exactly like the baby. Let's talk about that. You are a fucking fan. What do we need to do about it? Nigga, get on this motherfucking platform and advocate for your motherfucking people. Nigga, because as we speak, they literally rotting in fucking Africa, where they not even from. Y'all want to be a part of our culture so bad. How about that? Let them learn how to let them be over there learning how to handle that 100-degree weather that they rotting in right motherfucking now in South Sudan. Not even fucking criminals. I'm talking about tax-paying fucking citizens. Not even criminals. Never even had due process. Just picked up, kidnapped, and brought to South Sudan. Brought to Camp Lebanon and just literally rotting out. And you bring your big, fat, funny-looking Mexican motherfucking ass up on this platform, and all you worried about is being able to say the N-word. Talk about your priorities is in the wrong place. Talk about do something. Nigga, You are never in a space for somebody to do something. I'm almost positive when you go anywhere, you with an entourage of motherfuckers, and it's probably in your home state. Because God knows if you go into other states, talk about do something, you already know how that's going to end up. Nobody motherfucking scared of you with your big, fat, funny-looking Mexican ass. Clock it. Let me just say this. I'm trying to water down my content, make myself more palatable, if you will. Leave my fucking people alone. If you ain't gonna help your own and do nothing positive in your own community, leave mine the fuck alone. Worry about yourself. Mind your business. Take care of your fucking people. What are they going through right now? I wait. Do you know? Do you even fucking... Oh, wait. Hold on. Didn't you vote for Trump? Oh, so you don't give a fuck. You don't give a fuck. So for the Mexicans who voted for their best interests and they still ended up with that ugly orange bastard in the White House, y'all should be mad at OT. Because at right now, instead of him advocating for your community, he's so busy trying to be accepted. Who's buying that motherfucking nigga albums anyway? Who's buying that nigga albums anyway? You's a TikTok artist, my guy. Niggas don't know you outside of TikTok, you bum ass. You's a bum. You's a bogus ass bum. You got money, and I don't know how. Nigga, you're still selling drugs. The FBI need to come and investigate you, bitch, because the damn show ain't your music. Bitch. Fuck you and your mama.
The Mexican OT said, who's going to stop him from saying the N-word? And I'm not shocked. I'm not surprised. I'm not anything. Honestly, I know the kind of man that he is, and that kind of fits his character. What I really want to talk about is how a lot of non-black people will use racism as this facade to cover up a lot of homoerotic fantasies that they have about dominating black men. Like, if you sit down and like break down what was happening in real time with Mexican OT, you'll see like he was looking for a black man in real time to tell him, you're not gonna stop me from saying the N-word. It's a part of the fantasy. He wants that, but understand these fantasies come in multiple forms. The other week I saw a trend where these white boys were saying, they were describing a black man that looked just like me, saying they'd kill or they'd paint some scenario where they needed to defend themselves against this imaginary black man who looks just like me for whatever reason. Let me not say whatever reason. I know the reason is for the purpose of dominating black bodies. Homosexuality aside, I'm starting to think that maybe, hear me out, maybe Mexican OT wants to be a nigga. Think about the culture that he wants to be a part of, the spaces that he's putting himself in. Even look at how he dresses. He's cosplaying what he thinks a nigga should be.
So we just gonna act like it's not real fucking convenient that this interview dropped with that Mexican OT almost immediately after we having a conversation about the motherfucking ice raids. Shit, maybe I'm bugging though. Maybe there is no correlation and the government has no incentive to platform a narrative like that at a time like this. But beyond all that shit, y'all, can we please, for the love of God, stop letting rappers, entertainers, and celebrities set the standard for what type of conversation we gonna have around real life shit. I want a 5-star meal, which is difficult as hell to make, especially for me, because I don't want all that fancy smashy shit with all that foie gras and fa. I want some good shit with some good portion, you know what I'm saying? I want to be full by the time I'm done. I wouldn't go to a nigga that only know how to make ramen noodles. And then I wouldn't base my whole opinion on niggas that know how to make 5-star meals off a nigga that really only know how to make ramen noodles. Y'all are basing y'all political standings off niggas with ramen noodle politics. If you want to hear from niggas that know what the fuck they talking about, yeah, you could just ask a random nigga on the street, which they will have some expertise on their lived experience. But if you really wanted to know something, go read poetry from niggas. Go listen to scholars that are niggas. You know what I'm saying? And if you wanted to hear from Mexicans that know what the fuck is going on, go read Mexican poetry. Go listen to Mexican scholars and activists. Stop doing dumb shit and being surprised when you get dumbass results.
You know, I don't do pop culture content, but y'all going too hard on my boy Mexican OT. Now, I understand it's a touchy word for a lot of y'all, but y'all ain't from Texas. And by no means is that his excuse. But if you grew up in the trenches, that's just how we talk to each other. Now, me personally, I'm 46 years old, and my vocabulary has changed due to being wise. And I understand that saying that word in the wrong areas at the wrong time can get your jaw broken, and I don't want my jaw broken. But with that being said, when a cop says, y'all 4 ninjas get out of the car, you think I'm sticking around? Oh, I'm gonna be a ninja today. Now, I understand if you from out of state, you from California where Mexicans and blacks fight, but we don't have that problem here. Matter of fact, unlike you're told, Texas itself don't have a racial problem at all. Now, sure, you got some ignorant motherfuckers, but for the most part, we all intertwine with each other. I mean, you'll be surprised how many black folks can sing along to a George Strait song and see a redneck sing along to a DJ Screw song. That shit ain't unnormal around here. So y'all good brothers and sisters, let my boy make it. He can't help where he from, and he can't help that he young.
Mexican OT contradicts himself when he's talking about why he should use the N-word, because if you do love and appreciate the black community, you would not be using the N-word. I'm sorry. I don't care if your friends gave you a pass, if you grew up using it or whatever. If you know that the word is controversial, why would you still be using it and then claim you love black people? I love my own culture, but I also love learning and studying other cultures, and when you participate in another culture as an outsider, you have to learn the rules, right? He knows that a lot of people don't like him saying the N-word, but he still wants to defend it like he has a right to say the N-word when he really doesn't. And to add icing on the cake, he was making it very uncomfortable for black women as well. He scanned the room and was like, well, who's gonna check me? What are you talking about? You're willing to fight black people for your right of saying the N-word when you are not a black person. Isn't that insane? He does give me the vibe of somebody who would fight, like physically fight for the right of saying the N-word. And at first when Cleopatra didn't really do anything about like him saying the N-word, I was like, what? But then I realized he is the only man in that situation full of women. Who knows what he could do if somebody was like, I don't like you saying the N-word, because I don't know what it is about non-black people saying the N-word. Will go feral for trying to use the N-word, and I don't get it. There are so many other words in the English language that y'all could use. You literally have stuff from your own culture you can use. Why not use the... It's like you're also a Trumper, which is like crazy to me. So you would fight more for the right of you saying the N-word than for the rest of your own people. Crazy, crazy. I saw a video of this one girl saying that she doesn't think that the Mexican OT will go that far because he uses the N-word. I think he will go like decently far, but what I think he'll be like one of the biggest rappers out of Texas, one of the biggest rappers like in the country, top 5 rappers. Never. I never thought that. But yeah, I'm not really seeing it for him. Never really saw it for him. Also, the music was never really giving that much anyways. I'm sorry.
I just saw a comment from a dude that said he from Texas, and it's culture for a Mexican to say nigga down there. And my first thought was, where? Because I'm from Texas, and that ain't the truth. And then I started racking my brain wondering what would make somebody lie like that. Then it hit me like Princess Di hit that tunnel. That has to be a coping mechanism for a Negro that grew up in Lubbock. Only a brain steeped in the misery that is dreaming of being a Red Raider your whole life can produce that kind of malarkey. If you are not from Texas and you are not familiar with Lubbock, all you need to know is Patrick Mahomes spent 3 years down there, and that's where he fished up that fried chicken ass white girl. If you are black, you do not want to go there. That is hostile territory. They believe Jim Crow was progressive. If a colored enters a building in Lubbock, they have to close it down for a week and spray that bitch down with bleach. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that's the culture of a Lubbock-based Texas. In fact, the only place in Texas that might be worse than Lubbock is Odessa. I'm 100% sure the Emancipation Proclamation ain't even reached Odessa yet. You don't believe me? The only black people that live in Odessa are working them oil plantations.
Since so many Hispanic people are complaining about not being able to say the N-word and how we got to stop telling them not to say the N-word, okay, bet, I got a solution. How about black people as a collective? Why don't we take back a slur that's used on them and we complain about us not being able to use it? Yeah, how about this? How about we take the word back and we make it our own, and we tell you how much you sat here and marketed that word and you use it so much in your own community and you use it so much in your music that we should be able to use it. No? You don't like the sound of that?
This is all I got from this, you know? Most times when people say you are supposed to save or you are not supposed to save, I tell you how I feel about whatever that it's going on, right? Is whatever that is going on sad? Absolutely, it is very sad. But am I going to tell my people to go out there to stand out for anybody? No, I will not be doing that, unfortunately. Right? I saw a comment on one of my videos, and the person said, you talk about Latinos. Latinos are actually good to black people, and I do not want all these discussions about Latinos to start a race war. I was having a a busy day. I read it. I didn't respond to it because I do not know what to respond to the person. But you and I know what is on my heart. If I wish I can find where the comment is, but I read it. I put my phone in my bag straight up, continue what I was doing because I was out. Sometimes you see some certain things happening and you are asking yourself, are these not the people coming out to tell Black people that we are supposed to be one? I have never seen Black people not wanting everybody to be one. But what happened last year, I will continue to say it. What happened in November showed that you all do not want to be one. Because if you had wanted to be one, you definitely would have done the right thing. And I am going to say this for you people to see. Enough of calling Black people for assistance. If you cannot help yourself as a person, let me tell you something. Example, right? I want to get an implant, right? And I do not have any money at all to get an implant. I have like 4, but I am going to do 2, right? I don't have money. People may help you, but the money might not be enough. How much do you have first to start the implant? Before people will say that, oh yeah, she really does want to do this. Okay, let's assist. Right? I am not asking for, this is just analogy. Right? So now, I have not seen you people go. The worst part is that I don't even see them go out to protest. You see all these people that are manipulating or looking for a way to get Black people on the road. They are all in their homes. During the protest, they never went out. Because majority of them voted for this man. So how are they supposed to protest for someone they voted for? For somebody to have voted for you, it means that they accepted you. They want you, whether it is good or bad. Right? And you see videos flying around all this period. The majority of, not even, can imagine a father knowing that the son is undocumented, voting for this man, and then calling you to come and assist them. I think this is just people. I don't know how to say this, but do not get me wrong. I think they want to act like the colonial masters. This is what I feel. Back then when they come out and they tell you, you are supposed to do this and you are supposed to get on it. It is a controlling kind of attitude from them, telling Black people you are supposed to be outside and trying to let us know that we all have worked, Black people and you have worked together all these years. What Black people are saying is, what happened last year? What happened last year? For me, I don't care how hard everybody has worked. What happened last year? Talking about Latinos or Mexican, all of them, Cubans. See, sometimes I feel like they are just that's what it's actually this is what it is. When people are so good at taking advantage of people. But sincerely speaking, all of them, they have been benefiting from Black, they use that your goodness, your good heart, not until it is dry. Because no matter how good somebody is, one day that good heart will dry off. Because you already see that these people do not mean well for you. And sincerely speaking, they do not mean well for you. In ending, I don't want this because it's already long. In ending, I am going to say this. If Cubans, Latinos, make all of you all put together in a cup, if you all did not learn from what happened in Florida 2 years ago, trust me, learning is very far away from you. And all I can tell you is that you all can do yourselves good. Leave Black people out of your mouth. Because it's only when you need help that you remember Black people. But you will never align with Black people, especially with their struggles. You all must really be chameleon and leech. They want to continue to leash, not until they have nothing to leash. At this point, black people said, no, you ain't coming close. Bye for now. He wants to say the N-word so bad, and nobody can stop him. See how instead of saying the N-word, what happened to the gym? What happened to the gym? Bye for now.